watched a movie called Teen Spirit, and I gave a partial review on the Rotoscopers YouTube page, and I also said that I had a rant. And boy, do I! I have a rant. See, here's the thing. I'm going to give a brief overview of this movie, and then I am going to be going into details as to why I rant so bad against this movie, but also for it. Interesting. Okay, so first, for the movie. The movie itself is beautiful, and I felt like the cinematography was excellent, and the song choices were fun, and just that part of it was what it wanted it to be. And for that, I give it a high rating in that area, more like a 4 out of 5 stars. If you're just looking at the artistic, composite of this film, that's what I give it. Now, if you're looking at the actual story and the story that is just left untold and what is left out as far as what is real, 1 out of 5 stars. Oh my gosh. Actually, there's things in psychology that are called tics, but then there's things that are called triggers. There's some tics that I have and it's like, ugh, you shouldn't have said that. Ugh. But then there's a trigger where it says, okay, I don't even care what is gonna happen. I have to say something. So this is my I have to say something rant about this movie. And the main reason why I'm doing this is because I have a 14-year-old niece. Her name is Avalon. And I call her Abby. And Abby, she also wants to be a singer. And I have been a singer since I was 14 years old. My uncle, so I'm her aunt, so my uncle took me under his wing and he showed me how everything that he knows about singing and all these different things that have really made me who I am. And I cannot begin to thank him enough for all that he did for me. And so in a way I kind of feel the same need to kind of pay it forward in that way. And my niece, who was 14 when I was 14, and when I started, it was a very different world. I remember when Napster came around and it just kind of toppled over everything. And so when the music industry was going through that huge shift, that's what I remember. And it also made everybody go up in airs and go I don't know what's going on. The music industry is over. And I'm like, okay. And I actually bought into a lot of it, and it made me really freak out about what am I putting my life into? What am I doing? And granted, my parents owned a Western dinner theater, so they made music work for them in the form of the restaurant business. But even then, they weren't in the music industry. They were in the restaurant industry. And so it was kind of they didn't realize that at the time, but afterward they were like, oh yeah, no, that's really what happened. And so I feel like over the last 2 years, I have put in a lot of time, several hundred hours of actually going in and finding people to teach me what is going on and how the music industry actually works. And the thing is, it's not that much different from any other industry. And that is where it comes back to this movie. So this movie basically starts out, it calls itself a modern day Cinderella. And I'm thinking, girlfriend, if Cinderella were modern, she'd be a business owner, okay? So I'm just like, let's start from the beginning. All right, first off, Elle Fanning, I don't remember the girl that she plays, her name, but she did a great job. I really liked her portrayal of this person and the fact that she got to speak another language, and it was really cool too. So I was like, Elle, you're great. Nothing against you. It's all about the writing. So the writing about this basically goes in, and it kind of grabs a hold of the culture that we kind of, over the late 2000s is when the American Idol started popping up more and more and more. So the American Idol, The Voice, I cannot tell you how many times I've been told that I need to try out for one of these shows. Cannot begin to tell you. And I have tried out for them, but it's every single time it's gotten, and here's the thing, this is going to sound like I'm bitter at all, but I'm really not. I'm really glad that it never worked out for me, because that really wasn't going to be the best thing for me. And anyway, so it's I would get further along in these competitions, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, you're really good, but we already have someone like you. And so it's like, okay, I don't have a sob story enough. Both my parents are still alive. I don't have, I have both my arms. Like, there's sometimes with these stories, like, they just, like, build them up from the side, and you're like, okay, that's just it. Like, I don't have the sob story going for me. Oh, well, I'm okay with that. Really, I am. Okay, going back. This movie kind of capitalizes on that idea, saying that all fame and all success is going to come from winning one of these movies or one of these TV shows. And all you need is that, and then the sky is the limit from there. And that is such a false nomer, like such false advertising. Because, I mean, look at around. Like, you have so many different of these shows where it's like, some of these artists that win never even get to make an album because they just get shelved. They don't have the fan base that is the fan base that voted for them are not really voting for them. They're voting for the show, and they'll win. But once they leave, they're still going to go back to the show. And the show is really what they care about. Not this girl or this guy or this artist. It's just how it is. And I get it. And the thing is, like, you have to understand that to be able to feel like, yeah, I get it. These are the rules of the game. Let's play to win. Now, there are a lot of people who have gotten a lot of success out of that. And they have been able to garner that following because of it. But they've also been like, excuse this, but they've been screwed over in the end because they end up, and the movie goes into this as well as how, she goes along and she finds, like, she's about to be in the end of this competition, and they're like, hey, honey, why do you do this? And that's the first question, and I think that is a question that everybody needs to answer for themselves, no matter what industry they're in. Why are you doing this? What do you want? And so here is, if Aunt Chelsea is going to be telling you the secrets to success. And this is in every industry, okay? Not just music. First, what do you want? What does success mean? Success doesn't necessarily have to mean fame and fortune. Success could mean, hey, I get all of my bills paid from this. That is awesome. Success could mean, hey, I get to help somebody in need for whatever they're doing. Yay, that is awesome. That is your success. And once you have defined what exactly success is for you, then it is so much easier to build a road to that. And in the story, she basically just goes like, well, I just like to sing. And she's like, and then the person's like, oh, there's lots of people who like to sing. You can sing. And I was just like, oh, you are like, this is what happens. They are trying to build a business themselves. And you are an employee. You don't realize it when you sign up with a record label. So Avalon was asking me, she was like, hey, should I actually go for a record label? And I'm like, you know what? Some people work really well with that. Some people want to make money. See, all of the major labels specifically, there are some indie labels that aren't that way. But the major labels, unless you are the biggest of the bigs, you are having to compete with the biggest of the bigs. And the time that it would take for me as a record industry person, I can do a lot more with this person who already has fame and fortune than I can, kind of pushing this new person along. So I'm going to spend most of my time over here because that helps my bottom line. And that's really how it goes. Now, I'm not a hater. Actually, I kind of am. But I feel like everybody has to do what's best for them. And as long as you know that, then you don't have to go with them. You can look at them and say, yeah, you are doing what's best for you. And that's great. I'm going to do what's best for me. And what is best for me is that I take control over my life and actually build the plan myself. So that is my number 2. Where'd it go? I made these just for you, Abby. I did this because I'm like, I know Abby's going to watch this. And this is not just to her, but all of those young adults who want to be like in the arts and be an entrepreneur in the arts. You don't realize that you're an entrepreneur, but you are. Find a mentor. Find somebody who knows what they're doing and how to get there. See, in this specific movie, her mentor, though can sing, he's an opera singer who's on his, for whatever reason, like he, failed at life. I don't know. And he now lives in his car and like in a garage. And so like, and has no family. Like his ties to his family are very like loose and doesn't like visit them at all. And so it's like, okay, first off, if all you need is a ride, go for it, Yeah. But the fact is she has so much like, I must because you were with me from the beginning. Like, it's so misguided. Like, this person doesn't really know how to win at your game. Yeah, he did really well in his game until he failed miserably. And yeah, people will fail miserably and then they'll come back and, not all of them, but there are people who will come back and they will have so much more to give because of their fallen point. But he comes in and he's like, I'll be your manager for 50%. And I was like, what? Once again, somebody trying to take advantage of the artist. No! You have to take care of these things yourself. Can I say that enough? So this guy, he doesn't know how to build an audience. He knows how to do well in opera, but even then somebody probably pushed him along and he doesn't know what they did to make him a success. And a success in opera is very different than success in pop music is what she's wanting to get into. And so that's, number one, just find a mentor that works and that like knows what they're doing, knows how to get there, has been in the industry and is currently working in the industry, is currently fighting those battles so that they can tell you exactly how to do it, how they are currently doing it, and not how they did it 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, we all know it was a very different world, especially here. So find a mentor, find somebody who knows what they're doing, and be willing to go to them and say, hey, I need help. And that brings us to the next one. Invest in you. Okay, I have made thousands of dollars working as a musician, but I've also invested thousands of dollars working as a musician. I teach singing lessons, and it's just amazing how when I need to go to a singing lesson, the people that I go to are very different today than they were when I was 14 years old. When I was 14 years old, it was like anybody could help me get from where I was to the next level. It was not that hard. But once you get up to a certain amount, it's like going to college. Like, you can't go to a kindergarten teacher and say, hey, can you help me? Like, that's not where they're at. So you have to find people who are specifically working to help that level of person. And that's going to cost more when you go to college. It costs more. So when I take lessons, it's anywhere between $120 and $200 an hour. Okay? So that is the level of teacher that I need. And I am capable and so happy about spending that money because there have been times where in 1 hour, I've gone from where I was to something that I never thought that I could be like, oh, light bulb moments. It's like, wow, I know how to do things now. And then I go back and I do things on my own and I work on my own. I don't charge that much money. But even at the rate, I basically charge what you would pay to go for an Uber across town. And people look at me and they're like, oh, that's a lot. I'm like, what? Whatever. Okay, you don't understand, but it's fine. It's fine. So that's, yeah, invest in you and that's the thing is when you are paying for the time, you want that time to be fruitful. You don't want to pay for somebody who doesn't know what the crap they're doing. If you don't feel like you have gotten from point A to point Z, well, I mean, it's hard to get to Z, but you know, at least like if you don't see their capacity to get you to pass B, but to C, D, and E, then you should look for somebody else. You should find somebody who can do that for you. Now, granted, when I go to those lessons today, I don't need to go to those lessons every week. Those aren't the types of things that I do every week. But those are the times that I go. When I go to those, it's when I have been working on my own and doing a certain amount, and I just cannot get past this. And now I need somebody else better than me. So, going back to the movie, he knew music, and he knew, excuse me, I'm burping. He knew music, and he knew singing. But to make him your manager? No! Don't ever do that, please. Like, I mean, you want, a manager is somebody who manages the business. And you don't want to put anybody in that position, because you're going to have to pay them at least 10% of what you make. So if you're only making $100,000 a year, they're only going to be making $10,000 a year. So you're really not needing a manager until you're making at least like $250,000 a year, because then they can make like a base salary of $25,000 a year. Now, you may not understand what money is. But when you get there and you're like, you know, in my situation, I'm like, you're 14 and you just want to sing. That's great. Just sing. But I'm 32 and I want to make money. So my wants and desires are going to be different from your wants and desires. But that's what it is, defining what you want. So I'm willing to invest in me, and I'm willing to invest in the teachers. You know, it's like when you go to college, you go for a purpose. A lot of people don't do that, but you should go for a purpose, and you find people who are able to do that. All right, next one. Think like a business person. As I mentioned before, if Cinderella were modern, she would have been a business person. I mean, look at her. She worked hard, and she took advantage of every opportunity that came her way. And even in that last little bit where she was like, you know, I think I've lost all hope. And then the fairy godmother comes around and says, oh, you wouldn't have, if you would have lost all hope, I wouldn't be here. And look, here I am. Here's the thing. The fairy godmother, though, like she's like that first teacher that you get, or that ride. She doesn't really know exactly what she's doing. Like, everything that she does is like, it falls apart within like a couple hours. Like, be very wary of fairy godmothers, and don't sign any contracts with them. Like, for a day, sure, but don't do a contract that's like, gives them all your money, okay? Please don't. Okay. Thinking like a business person, what does that mean? It means you are not in the music industry. You're not. The music industry is broken, and it has been for years. Ever since there was payola and all these different things, and I'm not even going to go into it because it would like make my there's a vein in my head that would kind of explode if I started talking about this one. But so we're just not going to do that. We're just, suffice it to say, the music industry is broken, and you can't make money that way. Like, how record labels are doing it are in the old, they just don't understand what real marketing is. They don't understand what real business is. They just don't. But except, I will say, if you go into the hip hop and rap like genres, they hustle. They know how to make music a business. And for that, I applaud them. Seriously. Applaud. Slow clap on that one. Here's the thing. It is not about the music. Today, and especially, we live in a streaming world. The streaming, and that's, once again, learn the rules of the game. Play to win. Okay, so because it is a streaming world, that means you're basically, there are ways of making money on that, and a lot of people, it's also a misunderstanding how when artists say that they don't make any money on streaming, yeah, they do make money on streaming, but the record labels take it all. So yeah, they don't make money on streaming. No. But if you own your own, what is called the master, then you're going to make a lot more money. If you own all of your rights all together, you're going to make a crap load more money, at least 5 times more money than you would if you were to have divvied those rights away. Once again, think like a business person. Now, because I'm thinking about it as a business person, it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have to do things by myself. I have had so many different people help me that it becomes a win-win. So I have a producer that I'll go to for one purpose, and he'll help me, he or she will help me put together that. I will pay them, and then I will retain all my rights. They win because they get that upfront money. I win because I get the product. And then if I do something good with the product, if it was like good to begin with, then, that's all the better. Now, if I also need help with those things, if I know that I can't do something on my own, I am not afraid to go to a producer and say, hey, let's co-write on this one. That way you take half, I'll take half, because I know that I would not be able to get this done without somebody else's help, and you know that you wouldn't have been able to get this done without somebody else's help, so everybody's happy. And then we both go out and we try to hustle what we just did so that we can have a business and have a return on that investment of time that we invested in each other. So these are things that you've got to think about. Now, when you're thinking as a business person, you're also going to be thinking about like making sure that the people that are around you are going to lift you up. Like, that seems like really easy to say, but it's hard to really keep in mind, because if I keep people around me who are not buoying me up and like feeding my creative side, then there's just, it's downhill. So there are always ways to make life worth it. See, I'm talking to Abby. Abby, my grandma, your great-grandma, she had the best quote. She's 101 years old, for anybody who doesn't know, who is not Abby out there that's watching this. And her best quote is, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. That's what it is. And if you know how to negotiate well and making sure that everything is fair, making sure that you know that, okay, I feel like I am being given my fair share and you are given your fair share, everything is great, that'll come right back around, and it'll be, that is your legacy, is making sure it's a win-win and you are winning and you've negotiated well. So thank you, Grandma Marge, for that. Anyway, okay, I think I'm gonna stop here, but actually there's so much more that I would go through. Oh my gosh. So like this movie, like it goes along, it basically says that you win this show, and so now what? And then it just ends. I don't know. What's up with me? I have the world at my fingertips. You have a chance. You don't have the world at your fingertips, but you have a chance to do something that a lot of people don't get to do. And so you're just get good people around you. That's all I can say. That's it. Oh, also, the other, like, side note thing, like, throughout this whole thing that was really bugging me is, like, okay, if you're a singer, don't drink. Don't. Because that completely dries out your vocal cords. 100%. Especially if you're drinking and you're singing, like, a lot of, like, the, rock and roll types, like, show, like, they're just, like, out there drinking vodka and whatever, and I don't know, whatever, alcohol. It'll completely dry out your vocal cords, and then you're not going to be a singer, you're going to be a cracker. Nobody wants that. So, yeah. So those are my pet peeves about this movie. Oh, this is a 25-minute podcast live from my bedroom. Oh, and here's my dog, Montana. Hey. There you go. All right, so this was part of my segment, Letters to Abby. I'm actually starting a podcast where I'm talking to young entrepreneurs who are like Abby, wanting to get into the arts. and I am going to be interviewing amazing people. And so I don't have it up on iTunes just yet, but if you go to chelsearobson.com and then slash letters to Abby, then you will, or slash podcast. Yeah, do that one. chelsearobson.com/podcast, and you'll be able to sign up for a reminder and to let you know anytime a podcast is going live, because these are going to be fun. I am really excited. I have done many years of podcasting with the Rotoscopers, and if anybody out there is from that channel, I mean, all my hearts go out to you for following me over here. But this is something that when you're doing a podcast, you have to know who you're talking to. And in this case, for the last couple of years, I really want to have some type of an outlet for all of my music stuff, but I just don't know who I would be talking to. And so when I was talking to Abby one day, I said that I wanted to have a podcast, and she said, I would listen to your podcast. And I'm like, well, you might be the only one, so I might as well make it Letters to You. Letters to Abby is starting up now. So follow it. It's all about getting into the arts. And I'll be interviewing lots of people from all different sides of the arts, from movies to singing to marketing and all these different sides of it. So follow me there. All right. Until next time, this is Letters to Abby. Mwah. Bye, Abby. And by the way, that whole growing up thing, I'm still working on it.